Thanks for staying with us. I know the ladies don't like talking about these kind of things, but you know we're going to talk about it. So one of the on-air personalities, Toke Makinwa, was saying something on social media, which I thought was interesting because it's worth talking about. It brings out different angles to our conversation. She said that most Nigerian men's definition of a strong woman is long-suffering, emotional abuse. Please, let us get this point. Long-suffering, emotional abuse, and high tolerance of accepting bad behavior. When it seems as though they meet a woman who can stand up for herself, termed opinionated and wayward. Now, this struck a chord with me because I had dated a man many years ago, and we really clicked. And he was a responsible, good person. He was a person that, you know, that you are proud of. Yes, this is the guy. This is a fantastic guy. Everything was right. He broke it off with me. He broke off the relationship, and his main reason, the only reason he broke up, I'm just opinionated. Yes. You know, you just
this Mariah that I know.
Exactly. He's very busy. To him, I was just opinionated. You know, I'm always trying to have my way. You know, I'm just very confident. He just feels like I won't be submissive.
Oh,
you know,
because it's lost.
Because
but then,
right now, he's pastoring the church. And I know the guy. He's a big taste.
Everybody, yeah.
So and that was the reason. Wow. That was like the only reason he broke it up. That he just feel that he can't handle it. So when she said that, I could understand where it's coming from, because sometimes when a man wants you to be very just, when they say humble, don't just say anything.
Don't have a voice.
Just be quiet. Whatever I say, just take it like that.
They follow.
Now, this is a problem, because we are raising our kids to be confident. Yeah. We're raising our women to have an opinion, to speak up. My question is that detrimental to their settling down in the future? Is this way of raising young girls to have a voice, will she be seen as somebody who then has to long suffering?
I'm worried because if men are complaining about our generation, yes, and like the 20-somethings has been opinionated, they should wait for our current below 10. Yes. When they become 20, in their 20s, they are going to speak their mind so much, so well, that we need to start defining what a good woman is. But let me just
Okay, so let's go to what she's saying now.
Yes.
See that our mothers have been long suffering, that when a woman is opinionated, you know, she's not seen as a good woman.
Yeah, so I want to start by saying that we are naturally selfish. Man is, when I say man, I mean both male and female human beings. Man is naturally selfish, and you would always tilt towards that person who knows how to stroke your ego, that person who makes you feel like you're bigger than you are, really. And when you happen to meet...
Is that wrong?
No. I'm just telling you that's the nature of man. So people who are able to come out of that are those who have worked on themselves. Those who have been deliberate to understand that we are all human beings and we all have a right to speak. We all have a right to air our opinion. It takes work in progress. But you see those ones who are still crude in that form that they came with, every one of us came like that. You see them still, you may not know. You see them still tilting to those people who give them that platform, who put them on the pedestal. And because we have been patriarchal for a long time, we're still very much patriarchal. Men have always gotten away with bad behavior. Men have always been pampered to say, he's a man, let him, don't worry, he's a man. That's how men are. They have been raised to feel the world belongs to them. And so anyone who questions that authority is seen as a bad person. I remember as a spoilt brat or a spoilt woman or somebody who will not obey when the person is married.
But this is someone that lacks wisdom. Because sometimes they expect you as a wise woman, even though he's wrong. And I'll let you share your story.
Yes, let me share this particular experience. So I remember there was a time my sister from my mother's side, we hung out with, there was a guy that was asking her out at the time. And the guy saw me. We were talking about different, I can't even remember the conversation. And afterwards, the guy told her, this BC will be a bad influence on you. This BC is a sports girl. This BC is too... This BC is too opinionated. This BC will not make a good wife. You know, I don't want you to hang around this BC so much. But when we got, I noticed some things about the guy. I noticed how he was condescending to the girl. And I wasn't having it. And I could, at that, now, I don't get more sense. I can keep quiet, you don't concern me. But that time, I wasn't having it. So I showed my displeasure on how I treated that my cousin at the time. And he noticed now that if these two people hang out, this guy will not fall for me. Fast forward how many years ago, she's still regretting that decision that she made. And me, I don't put my mouth where I'm not called. I did not offer any advice. But he saw me from a distance and just said, this one too no. That was the point. This one too no. And most of the men that I have seen who have not evolved beyond that, mostly like that. Is it not somebody that called on the show that said the wife should stop listening to me because from listening to me, the wife is now making him sweep and wash plates? Do you understand that mindset? Because you hear somebody speak, I want to be respected, all of a sudden that person becomes spoiled because the person is not willing to take that mistreatment from you. And so you see women saying, you see men saying, she has, this is my wife, she's so strong, she has suffered, she built me, she did that because the wife, yes, because the wife had collected all the bad rubbish. And the other person whose wife refused to take that disrespect, no, that might not be a good woman.
All right,
the mindset.
so let me come to your thoughts on this. This issue of, you know, the fact that the woman is praised because of her long suffering. You know, she's praised because of the fact that she has endured, you know. And today we celebrate them. Mommy is 60 years in marriage. You know, we talk about she's been 50 years. And she's there with her gay day. She's happy that, yes, I have endured, you know. And if you dissect her path, you realize that she didn't have joy. And I mean, we hear stories. Let me come to you, Mariam. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I will tell you something from when I was really young. When I would see people that's long before I even got married, when I would see people do like a wedding anniversary post, and I used to notice the men especially would say, a shout out to my wife who stood by me, took me from when I was endured me, understood me. It used to annoy me. I'm like, why is it every time someone has to endure you, has to stay by you while you're misbehaving, and then that makes her a good woman? I've never seen a woman that puts up a post and says, thank God for this, my husband. When I was a wayward woman and he decided to stay by me and stick by me, you never hear that. But the woman is the one who prays for, enduring, accepting misbehavior. So I've just never, understood that, and I've never wanted that for myself. And I think that our generation and many generations to come, men will find these women different from other types, from this sort of woman. That's because even the men that praise these women that are long suffering don't raise their daughters to be that way at all. So you have a man who is willing to have a wife that is this way, but would want his daughter to be confident, speak for herself, choose the sort of man that would support her and ride for her, So for the men coming ahead, like me, I have a son and I have a daughter. I'm raising her to be confident, and I'm teaching him to respect her opinions. So we'll have a new generation of men who understand the sort of women that we're raising.
Okay, let me get your intro on this before I go on the break.
So for me, I feel strongly that right from where we get our religion, culture, supports women sees women as a support structure, sees women as
support structure.
Yeah, we're supporting caste. We are not
the main character.
So we're not meant to have our opinion. We're not meant to be. We're not meant to shine. Our glory comes from how well the main character goes. So when your husband is shining, you have been a good wife. You have succeeded if your husband is doing well. And if your husband says you're a good woman, you're a good woman. If your husband says you're a bad woman, you're a bad woman. Regardless of if the man is the one that caused whatever reaction that came from you as a woman. So when we start understanding that a woman is not a supporting character, she's not a supporting cast. She's a main character in the movie called her life. And that life has to be joyful. That life has to be fulfilled. So you realize that I don't need to sacrifice my entirety because I want to be seen as a good woman by a man. And that is when we start understanding that opinionated women are not bad women. They are just living their own life. And they're not totaling down their goals and vision. Because you see, we said that, you mentioned about celebrating 25th year anniversary, 30 years anniversary, and we're not understanding the fact that 30 years of what? 30 years of crying, 30 years of being beaten. That women who've done 30 years anniversary the first 10 years of their marriage were bashed. My first 10 years of marriage, I was beaten. And I suffered. But now, I am beaten inside the palace. I am beaten. They are still getting beaten.
Would you say, let's bring this issue of wisdom. Because I hear that story. But today, we say the end justifies the means sometimes. I'm trying to get but see, those who get to the end, we have an example. Listen, those who get to the end will say, yes, it was then. He was still trying to get on his feet. He was just trying. That's what he used to. I'm just telling you because that's part of what the wisdom they tell us. That endure because tomorrow will be better.
They did not tell me.
Let us dissect that when we come back. We'll be right back.
They're not long suffering. They're short suffering.
Very short.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm enjoying this conversation we have because before the break, Toke was saying that a woman's role is not a supporting character, a supporting role in a marriage. She's also a main character, which is really interesting. But there's also that part where the Yoruba says ile-oko, ile-eko, meaning that when you get married, it's also a lesson, it's a school where you go to learn. And what is endurance to you may not be endurance to me. It could be relative. So if you say somebody endured, you have to define what does that mean. We're talking about the fact that when a man sometimes is not... Okay, let me give an example. So, for example, like you're doing the break, you're saying that your husband can actually clean or do some chores. My husband has never done any chore. He wouldn't do it. Or boil water, he wouldn't even touch. He doesn't even know how to walk the gas cooker. Will I say I've endured a man that doesn't know how to cook all this well, or I've endured a man that doesn't like to clean? He wouldn't do it, but he allow me to have my help to as you get to employ but having me start doing to iron for you, those kind of things, he would not touch it. Now, would I now say, oh, I've endured, or I've suffered, hey, my husband has not ironed my clothes, he doesn't, would I say that? But so there are different levels of endurance.
So long suffering is defined by you. I cannot define long suffering for you. You are the one who wears the shoes. You know where it pinches. Some things may not be your deal breaker. They are my deal breaker. I cannot impose what I will not take and say, Mariah, why are you taking this? You're different from me. Our threshold is different.
I cannot be pounding for people.
Yes, exactly. I was pounding for people. I was pounding for my guy. I pounded my way into their hearts. I pounded. You can't pound. Do you understand?
No.
So it's different. And the beauty of the thing is, it's the woman who sits in that position who will determine if I am suffering or not. Sometimes we see some men treat their wives different. In my head, I'm like, wow, okay, did you just say that to her? Wow. But the woman did not see it. Who am I to go and tell you you are being disrespected? You have to see it. You have to get to a point to understand that this is becoming disrespect. Nobody will take you there. And it may still not be because everything is subject to interpretation. That's the life.
Let me pause you for a second then, because if you say it's subject to interpretation, so if a child, if you are raised to say, I am the sporting character,
that's okay.
They raised you, say, my own job is just to be somebody submit, and whatever he says, I do.
That's okay.
Would you say I'm suffering?
No. You have been raised as a supporting character. You have accepted to be a supporting character. That is perfect for you. Nobody can define that for you. I wanted to also mention that we need to understand that women are not rehabilitation centers for badly raised men. We need to do more as parents. My father did not suffer. Wake up early in the morning without a woman in the house. Cook, clean. Make sure that I went to school with he will wash the uniform in the morning and iron it in that morning for me to wear and go to school. For me to get to somebody's house and be treated like trash. He didn't do all of that suffering. He will be turning in his stomach if he sees that I'm treated that way after all of the sacrifices. So I have not been taught that sort of long suffering. And even if I want to have long suffering, because they say for better force, right? The worst should not come from within. The worst is that two of us are forces who are going to face the world. So whatever the world brings, both of us will fight it. Not that you will become my cross. I married a friend, not a cross. We need to pick our battle.
I like that. Married a friend, not a cross. But they said it's a cross now. Carry it. That's the cross.
Friend, not a
Let me take this call. Good morning. Are you there?
Yes, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to contribute from from a male perspective.
Please do. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say that if a woman is already in marriage, it's a different situation. And if you are a Christian, you should believe in the Bible that says woman should submit and a man should love. So a woman that is opinionated is a good woman, but at the end of the day, two opinions cannot be. There must be a compromise. There must be a compromise, and a woman should be ready to compromise if necessary for her husband. And the truth is that in most cases, women's opinion are made up from what they hear from friends, what all kinds of not very good basis. So a good man, I think, has better reasons sometimes. So for me, I love if a woman can listen to the man, and the man also listens to the woman.
And compromise. Okay, I get you. Yes,
Okay.
Maria.
I just wanted to read. Long suffering means patiently enduring lasting offense or hardship. Yes, so I take it because, from what I understood, you're trying to say that it may be subjective. I think it's just clear what long suffering.
No, in terms of what you
Your
see
interpretation.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I think it is clear. I'm saying I understand what you're saying, but my own opinion that long suffering is long suffering. It's not what you decide to call it or what you decide to do.
This is what
Sometimes everybody around you plus yourself can see that you're enduring offense. So there's also hardship that comes with the circumstances of your marriage. So it's not abuse, but maybe you're struggling financially or just things are not working. And then you take the time to just patiently go through that. So that person is not abusing you, causing you harm. So, and you're long suffering in that case. That's a whole different one. And that one is a choice that you have made to stay there. Well, even with the offense, it will be your choice. But in that case, people can even understand why, you are going through that. Now, having said that, the long suffering, I also don't want us to mistake being opinionated with being blatantly disrespectful, manipulative, just rude, because we have seen situations where women are saying, well, I'm just confident and opinionated, I'm speaking my mind. And when you happen to be a third party in the situation, you're like, you could have been quiet. You'd have let that go. So I want us to, in talking to women and emboldening them to be confident and speak their minds, and also telling men to respect that kind of woman, we should also speak to the sort of woman who does not show any form of respect. Because in our own case, that's our own interpretation of being confident. Oh, now they're saying women are different now, I need to speak my mind. And I've seen situations where women could have addressed something a bit differently with softer or kinder words. I've seen men do it for their wives. I've seen men do it for their partners. And then you see the other part where a woman is just speaking, rudely or embarrassing the spouse in public. Meanwhile, this happens either way. So let's be careful that whatever it is that we're doing it with respect and kindness.
Let me take a call from Daniel from Lafayette in Nasarawa State. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good people there.
Yes, thank you.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I really appreciate the good work you guys are doing there.
Thank you, sir.
Enlightening. But I want to have my own take on the issue being discussed this morning as it relates to the virtue of a woman, the virtue called long suffering. I think when we come to the issue of marriage, we know that marriage is an institution that was introduced to human by God himself. And it's not just the introduction, but God has also the template on which the family should operate. There are guidelines. God has prescribed a guideline for the marriage to operate. The woman has a role to play, and the man has a role to play. And I think God, being the perfect being, knows that if two people keep to this precept, it will make the home a beautiful home. Of course, the family is God's plan for humanity to be happy. So therefore, if a woman is showcasing what you call her virtue of long suffering, we shouldn't criticize her in any way. I think she's obeying the Almighty God, who gives a template that make a marriage happy.
I like that.
It is not something that we should be debating about. The God who instituted marriage put that as a virtue for a woman to display. And when it is done, it makes the home a beautiful home. All we're looking for is a beautiful home. We don't have a perfect home, but a beautiful home that will keep everybody, that will bring joy and love and fellowship in the family.
Thank you very much, Daniel. See, that brings me to the conversation that it's a good angle. You see, maybe in the biblical angle, like long suffering is at the end the objective. As I said, the end justifies the means. Because I'll use the word you said, what is wrong in enduring offense for the objective of a happy marriage? So you're offensively, maybe you talk, verbally insult me, or you do some things, and like, that's his own week, but that's the cross that's what I have to deal with. Let me endure that. Yeah, I already have 5 children. Where am I going to? Let me just accept that is his own issue. Let me accept it. Where does wisdom come into this place? Can we say, oh, because we are modern women, we must continue to pick a fight or insist on a change on this just because we want to express ourselves? Or we should accept this is that he is. Let's accept and move on.
Okay, so I'm of the opinion that even when we talk about long suffering, even if the Bible is, when the Bible refers to, as I've been seeing many messages, the woman is a helpmate. You're meant to submit. You're meant to. God did not design for us to suffer.
But we are helpmates.
So, what does suffer? Is not suffermate. Helpmate, I'll support you. I'll help you.
So it's supporting character, biblically.
So at the end of the day, I am supporting and helping my partner, but my life is not designed as a supporting character. I'm a man in myself, which means I can define what pain is for me. We are shaped by our background, to a large extent. A woman who grew up in a household where the mother suffered beating from her husband, from the father, for many years, wouldn't see beating as a really big deal. It's not suffering. It's used to beat my mommy like that once in a while. And then they will now buy, and they'll compensate with a car. Every time they beat, they buy my mommy gold, and it's just part of it. And my daddy really loves my mommy. Once in a while, just slap my mommy once in a while. So when you grew up with that, yes. And psychologists have seen the cycle. Like most people who end up beating or in relationships that are there's battery came from backgrounds where that was done. Yeah, so they perpetrated the same circle. Now, I grew up in a house where my daddy watches the bathroom. That's daddy's job. Almost all my life, till I got married, my mom never washed the bathroom. So when I getting married, I did not understand the man that will not wash the bathroom. I'm not supposed to wash. So and it took a while to understand that my marriage, my parents' marriage is different from my marriage. Yeah. And I needed to understand and merge with each other, but to grow together. So if I realize that you do like this all the time, and when you do it, it's like you're scratching my body, I would understand that. Can you change it? Can I help you change it? It's really irritating me. If you cannot, I would consider the list of your goods and your bads. So and I would understand that that's the cross I would live with.
So we're not suffering. We're all accepting crosses.
No. So here's the issue. Long suffering means that I deal with anything you throw at me because I'm a woman, and I have to deal with it and accept it
in the interest of the family,
of the marriage. It shouldn't be that way. If there are things you can change, you must make concessions and compromise. Marriage is both parties compromising and merging to fit into one. But when the sacrifice is being done by just the woman, that is where the problem is. If I see equal sacrifice on my own part, then I can understand why I'm going to make those sacrifices on my part. But it doesn't happen that way.
What you said really struck a chord with me, because when I was growing up, that was almost like a demigod. When he comes in, everybody runs helter-skelter. He was one of those helter-skelter daddy running. Mommy gets the set up. Has never entered the kitchen. So I guess that's why
you are reliving it.
I'm reliving my life. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, and in my own case, I didn't have. My dad died, early. So for a long time, there was no daddy in the house. And my husband would say something like, in my father's time, he had his chair, he had his cup, he had his plate. Here, nobody respected because I didn't have anyone
to model after.
Chair or special, whatever. But he would say in jest, but to hear that there's some people that are reliving that.
Yeah. We relive.
Let's go to a break and we'll come back and start with this. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing how women are celebrated for this long suffering they do in marriage. You know, when after some years, they endured, they stood by me. And when you break that down, you realize that there was a lot of hardship in that relationship. And we're saying that, is it hardship or is it wisdom? Because some people say, somebody was sending me a message that a strong woman is a woman who lives her own purpose, her life purpose. At the same time, gives support to the husband's purpose without disrespect. So you subject yourself, right, to support it and become one, and there's no disrespect, and he still honors you for that. So some people see that as my lifelong is to support my husband, that both of us can grow together. I'm not seeing myself as me. I'm not interested in the me factor. It's us factor. So that shouldn't be a problem.
No, it shouldn't at all. And it depends on what you are given.
One of those things.
So it's the sort of respect that you're giving. So people have all of these lofty ideas of I want to support and everything. You get there and the man stifles you. And you don't even have a chance to support yourself. So breathe oxygen becomes a problem in that marriage. We have that. However, there's something they say in my place. That means a well-trained child does not bring shame. Being opinionated does not mean being disrespectful and condescending. You can be opinionated, you can hold your own, does not mean you will disrespect your husband. Does not mean when your husband is talking outside, you put his head and say, keep quiet. It doesn't mean that. It means that you have wisdom. You know when to speak and you know when to keep quiet. That is what we're training our children, to have wisdom. And I try as much as possible to model this to my young girls. I have 2 girls that are growing. And every time we have a conversation, I used to tell them, have you ever seen me retort at your father? You're 13 now. My marriage is 14. I have never, not once, spoken back to my husband. It does not take away the fact that I have my own opinion, I can hold my own. But I know when to keep quiet. I know when he's fuming, something has happened and he's fuming. I know when to pat his back. I know when to drag him into the room and say, you see this one? No, I don't agree, I'm having my way. I know when to do that. So in being opinionated and in, people will hear us and we're telling women to shut down your husband. We don't shut down our husbands. That's what we're saying.
So we're not opinionated,
yes.
We're confident.
No, I am opinionated. I can hold my own.
Wisdom.
Yeah. Yes. I'm opinionated does not mean I will sit on my husband's head in public. I won't do that. But I can still go back to the room and say, baby, now this one will go do. I beg now. I can still do that.
Let me take this call.
I'm not finished though. Okay. When you also talk about should we accept long suffering as a form of sacrifice, it's okay if it does not affect your mental health. We have a lot of women who have accepted a certain type of long suffering that in their
own using that big word. Let's use the word that's the definition that the enduring offense. Let's use that.
Yes.
Enduring offense.
Enduring offense that has affected their mental health, that has affected their physical health. Yeah. So you can weigh the sort of offense you want to endure. And also the person you are enduring should understand that you're a human being. And you self make your offense light. Now, is it every time you be the one they'll be enduring? Make it light.
Okay, let me take this call. We're holding very well. Ade from London, are you there? Hello, Ade, you're live. Okay, I think he's... Yes, let's take a few comments.
Okay, yes. So I want to take this particular tweet. It says, Miriam Noga says, it annoys her when men praise women for condoning them when they were misbehaving. Women do the same. Men just don't come out to talk about it. So remember when I was talking about, I said as a young girl before I got married, for me, constantly seeing the only times, like most times women were praised was because they had endured bad behavior. So as a young girl who is not married, I'm like, that's not an inspiring story for me to, want to get married. Or is that what this marriage is about? To endure bad behavior, my spouse's bad behavior? I would have been more inspired. And I think for a lot of younger ones now coming up, they'll be better inspired by positive stories of a woman who supported a man who was doing positive things. The support of my wife when I was doing this for her and doing that for her, and she was doing this for me, would tell a better story than that constant story of, it's another year, or this woman suffered this year. she really suffered on my head, but here we are again. We have crossed the finish line. And then another 5 years, the same thing. I hear a lot of young people now say they're so afraid of marriage. Every time someone talks about the challenges in a marriage, they're like, if this is how marriage is, you know, I don't want to do it. And that's the thing about when we praise our women, let's praise them also for the good that we have done in their lives and how they have supported that dream. That's it.
You know, there's a story of an auntie. I'll come to you. An aunt, she's she's an aunt, yeah. And I think I've shared the story before. When I was growing up, I saw her as a very confident woman. She used to speak. She's a lawyer, you know, and I used to admire how she used to still talk, to speak with confidence and all that. When I was in primary school, you know. And as I grew older, she was growing as a lawyer, and she became a judge. Now, before I got married, there was a time there was a family discussion. She was there with her husband. Her husband is actually my own cousin, my uncle. And there was an argument, and she was totally agreeing with him. He was talking total rubbish. Like when I say, we all know it's rubbish. Come on, that doesn't make any sense. But this woman that I admire, that I looked up to her as this judge, this lawyer. She was agreeing with him. And I'm like, you know you can't agree with him, but I kept quiet. After the argument, and I called her and said, Auntie, do you really believe what you said? She said, when you get married, you understand. I held on to that statement for many years. Because she obviously didn't agree with him. She agreed that he was talking something stupid, but because
maybe it wasn't the time and place.
It wasn't time and place. He's the husband, and she doesn't want to show as if I'm disagreeing with him in public. So she had to agree. I understood that after marriage. Yeah. So with that, now I see her now. I wouldn't say she's a shadow of herself. No, she isn't. But she's not the boisterous, confident woman I knew as a primary school child. When I used to admire her, she's now calmer. And when you go to parties,
is it a bad thing, though?
So that's what I'm saying. So is it a bad thing, or is it maturity, or is it the fact that, listen, this is the cross I'm carrying, let me accept?
So I understand this cross, you know, this cross needs to be redefined and redefined over the years of marriage. It will change over time. But there's one cross I don't want any woman to carry. You should never be beaten.
Yeah. Physical abuse.
No physical abuse. No emotional abuse. You can carry many crosses. You can carry... My husband is a groove guy. People know he's a man about town. I used to be a groove. Now, business did not let me have eye to do any groove. But as a cross I have to carry, I did have that in my growing up. My dad was at home, like we always eating at it. But that's my reality. So, is he a wonderful man? Amazing. Is he supportive? 100%. Does he like groove? Yes. So, we carry the cross. Does the groove hurt me? No. Do we groove together? Yes. So, you consider the suffering, consider the cross, but beating is not a cross any human being should carry. No other human being should be beating you, physical battery, emotional battery. No other human being should emotionally make you feel less. You know, people get married all big and their heart is large and they want to take on the world, and the marriage shrinks them into the image the man has. My marriage has emboldened me into the image my husband has, and even me having bigger dreams. And that's what marriage should do for each other. Not that it should be shrinking you, the man talks down on you, or you talking down. I've heard some women say things to their husband. I'm like, what? Terrible, evil things, insulting their husbands. And I'm like, why don't do this? That's the way it should be. Marriage is to encourage, support, and build one another. You don't use your words or physical, your fists to tear each other down. So that is the long suffering nobody should endure.
Okay, so I get it. Thank you for clarifying that, because we're doing enduring offenses.
Yes.
There's some little offenses like maybe not taking responsibility, you know. You feel like
dropping the towel,
dropping the ball. No, just doing stuff like this. Little
not paying
offenses.
Fees on time.
No?
Not paying
bills. You know, just
on time.
Taking things for granted.
Okay.
You know, and the woman has to endure that. The fact that her husband is not living up to the responsibilities, not doing what he's supposed to do. Enduring the offense of the fact that he maybe badmouths you in front of his family, but in front of you. You know, little things like that. You enjoy it, but he's doing other things. Maybe he's a great father, but he's not a fantastic husband. So you are enduring that offense as not being a happy wife. But you're happy that he's a great father to the children. So it's relative.
Yeah. So what you've just described is marriage. Yeah. Nobody is 100% complete. the spouses, we all come with our shortcomings. We all have our shortcomings. And in marriage, we learn to compromise. We respect each other. We understand what our weaknesses are. In a good marriage, you understand the weaknesses, and then you offer support where you can. You understand your strengths, and you are pleased that that person has something that maybe you do not have, and that person supports you in a place that you're weak. That is marriage. But the problem when it becomes when you say someone is so a woman who is not seen as a good person in a marriage would be she's constantly calling out the person's weakness, refusing to look at her own weakness, disregarding that person's strengths, even though they show up in different ways. They show up strong in other ways. So that would be a spouse who wasn't doing right by her husband. Right. And it goes for the man who constantly calls her a woman for her weaknesses, even though in so many ways she shows, her strength. Yeah. So the problem is not really about women or just women. Right. It could be on both sides. Right. We need to learn to respect each other. We need to also understand that when we get into marriage, we do not come 100% complete. We need to support each other. Yeah. And that's why they always say that marriage is for mature people. Mature people understand this. Younger people or immature people think that there's a template and there are lists, there's a particular list, a checklist, and if one is missing, then you're wrong. Yeah. No, that's not how it works.
I think we can end with that.
You're ready to get married.
We can end with that. Let's take a few.
Yes. Let me add that I can't remember being on set any time to say I used to shout on my husband. Because people are lying on me on YouTube. I have never said that, not once. If I have said that, you can remind me. Never. I've always maintained that when it comes to conversations in the home, I'm quiet. When I'm outside, I can hold my own. When I get home, I'm quiet. When he's shouting, I listen. And you know why I listen? Because he has proven himself to love me. He respects me. He takes my opinion. So when he gets upset and he shouts, I understand that he's a shouter. I will keep quiet. When you are finished, we settle. So I wouldn't want anybody to lie on me that I've sat on this table to say I used to shout at my husband. Please.
I don't know why you say that.
Yes, that's one. Secondly, one of the reasons I stopped coaching married people was because I realized that people like pain. People like to live in their pain. And I'm not there to help you if you're not ready to help yourself. And so I just moved away from that because people don't like the truth. They always find a way to feel you are telling them this because either you are not happy or you want their marriage to be scattered. And I'm wondering, I am happily married. Why will I want your marriage to scatter? I'm supposed to be helping you. So if you don't, I can see your husband beating you tomorrow. And I will not say a word if you don't ask me. Because I have learned that human beings, just leave them where they are. So for those people who believe that beating is part of marriage, mental abuse is part of marriage, and they want to stay there, all well and good for you. I will support you with love. For those people who have come into themselves, who know that I can no longer take this disrespect, I have my boundaries, and this man has to respect me or it's not going to happen, we will also support you and clap for you. However your decisions are, it's your cross. I'm living mine, live yours.
Okay, let's wrap up. Let's take a final call. Good morning, sir. Are you there? I have...
Yes, good morning.
Live, a final call on this. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, first of all, let me appreciate you for doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And like one of you said, a lot of us came into marriage with our background having issues. And we have this mentality that we're coming into marriage for somebody to complete us. That is absolutely wrong. We're coming to marriage to complement, not complete. So when you are coming to marriage and you think you are not complete, somebody will complete you. That is already a disempowering mentality. Exactly. One of you mentioned something. You are marrying a friend, you're not marrying a cross. So don't share those disempowering mentality. I tell people the best model of marriage I ever had were my parents. My father was educated, my mother was not educated, but they were married for 45 years until my mother died. And I have not seen any other model that I will model my life after. So when people don't know that they have baggage that should be corrected, they make it a rule, a standard. And it is wrong. The woman is complete coming to marriage. The man is complete. So you complement each other. And both of us are free moral agents entering this ship called marriage. And once in a while, we compromise. Most times when things are going well, people will not know it. Even the woman opinion that the man is running with, but because male are chauvinistic by nature, we also need to deal with that ourselves as men. Because at the end of the day, everything rises and falls on leadership. And you must take responsibility for your home. Marry your friend, don't marry a cross. Thank you for that.
Fantastic. Yes, let's take a comment.
Immaculate says, anybody, man or woman, are capable of abuse. The only difference is who has the power. Only education makes us change. Women that maltreat domestic staffs, in-laws, aren't they also abusers? Yeah. Imagine if she has the power over the man. Mr. Cruz says, in Africa, women are not appreciated at all. That's why we can't see a female president in Nigeria. Love your woman into submission, not force her into submission. There is equality. There is no equality at all. Even Christ was a feminist. He loved equality.
Okay, I have to wrap. Okay,
Uncle Vo says we all need to speak out when we feel we should, but how you speak to your partner is what matters. If my wife speaks, she's so calm and polite, and it doesn't look like we're arguing, and I'm forced to listen.
I wish I could learn that. All right, so I think I have to wrap up on this now, on this segment. And I think I like the word enduring offense. And I think the truth is that everybody endures one thing at one point. Yeah. When you apply to an office, and your line manager offends you in different ways. Sometimes we endure the offense because we know our goal is to promote to the next level. So in every step of our lives, we always have to endure something. So nothing is perfect. No marriage is perfect. You define what your own long suffering is. What kind of offense are you willing to endure? So somebody can endure their boss slapping them, and then you can say, I can't endure him asking you to make up for him in the morning. So depend on your own level of endurance. If you can stand that offense and say, you know what, if he slaps me, as long as I know that one day I'm going to become MD of this company, I'm all right. That's your own path. But if you say, I cannot make coffee for you, don't even ask me, then you resign and move on. But you can't, so you choose your level of endurance. At the end of the day, we must celebrate women and men alike who have been able to endure some kind of thing and celebrate many years in marriage. Yeah. It's a success regardless. So that's your auntie, that's your friend that is celebrating. Let's celebrate with them, regardless of what they endure in their marriage. No consign us. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, move on to another topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.